Some people don't feel lonely when they're alone. They are at peace, like they can finally breathe at their own pace, like nothing is pulling at them, like they don't have to always be on. People who prefer solitude usually aren't trying to avoid people. They're trying to get back to a version of themselves they don't always get to be when others are around. When you're with people, even people you love, part of you is always adjusting. You're listening, you're responding, you're picking up on tone, you're making little decisions about what to say, what not to say, how to say it. Again, not in a fake way, just in a human way. But all that adjusting adds up, and over time it can pull you out of your own head. So when someone who prefers solitude is finally alone, it feels like things settle. They don't feel empty. They feel clear. Another thing that often shows up with people who like being alone is how they deal with emotions. A lot of people process things by talking. They need to say it out loud, hear themselves, get reactions. People who prefer solitude usually process by sitting with things. They think, they replay, they notice what keeps coming back up. They don't rush to label how they feel. They take time to process their feelings. So being alone isn't boring for them. It's where things start to make sense. It's where confusion slowly turns into understanding. It's where emotions calm down without being fixed. Another reason solitude feels good to them is control over their own time. When you're with people, your attention is shared. Conversations move things, plans interrupt things. When you're alone, your time is yours. You can follow a thought, stop in the middle of something, sit in silence without explaining it. And for some people, that freedom feels grounding. They don't have to be productive, they don't have to entertain, they don't have to react, they can just exist. There's also something important about how people who prefer solitude experience themselves. When you're around others a lot, you start to see yourself through responses, what people laugh at, what they expect from you, how they describe you, and that shapes you. But when you spend time alone, you meet yourself without that filter. You see what you actually care about, what your mind goes to when no one is guiding it, what you enjoy when there's no one to impress. Over time, that builds a quiet sense of knowing yourself. And that's often why people who prefer solitude don't feel the need to be constantly social. They're already in a relationship with their thoughts, with their interests, with their inner world. Another thing people misunderstand is that preferring solitude doesn't mean disliking people. Most people who love being alone care deeply. They just don't enjoy constant interaction. They'd rather have a few real connections than a lot of surface ones. They don't want to fill time. They want to share it meaningfully. So they choose. They protect their energy. They don't jump from one interaction to the next. They leave space. And that space is where they feel most like themselves. If you prefer solitude, there's nothing wrong with you. It doesn't mean you're antisocial. It doesn't mean you're broken. It often means you're sensitive to your inner state. You notice when you're overwhelmed. You notice when things feel fake. You notice when you need quiet to reset. Solitude, for you, isn't a lack of life. It's where life becomes audible, where your own thoughts stop being background noise, where your emotions don't have to perform, where you can just be without translation. And some people simply need that more than others. Not because they're running away, but because that's where they come back to themselves.